welcome to 01460 On the Go. This is a new podcast, an initiative by the Select Board and Littleton Town Hall. I'm Karen Morrison. I'm on the Select Board, and with me is
Jim Duggan, Town Administrator for the great town of Littleton.
So we have started this podcast in order to try to keep residents more aware of what's happening in town. We know that it's a struggle to find sources of information that are concise and timely. And so along with our newsletter, this is one of our efforts to try to keep folks up to date on what's happening in town. You know,
Let's, if I can, Karen, let's educate people to how we got to where we are today. And this is one of your initiatives. As I was interviewing for the job a little over a year ago, you felt that we had to do a much better job reaching out to the residents and informing them of what's going on. And let's get creative, think outside the box. And the newsletter started as a result of that through your initiative. Now here we are with a podcast, and what's next? You never know. So
skywriting.
There you go. Okay, that sounds great.
Skywriting will be the next push.
Exactly.
And none of this is possible, right, without you and the rest of the staff at Town Hall supporting us.
Well, no, because the support is mutual. So which is fantastic. And as you've heard me say before, and I've said it to the team, to the staff here, and I've put it in the newsletter. Absolutely an outstanding staff here. This community is very, very lucky. I am very lucky to be working with some great people and working, and you 5 members of the select board have been fantastic to work for, and one of the best of my career. I'll tell you that. So, which is great.
Well, that's an honor because it's a distinguished career.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit. How long have you been here in Littleton, and what were you doing before that? Well, I've been here in Littleton
since December of last year, and it's something that I have. It's been a fantastic adventure, without a doubt. My career started early on. I came out of college with the intention of looking at federal law enforcement. U.S. Marshal, DEA, anything like that. And the process was extremely challenging and difficult. But in the meantime, what I did is I worked for the city of Lowell at a middle management job. And there was a couple high-profile projects that I was put the lead on. And I just saw the impact that in the city of Lowell of you can make change. Quality of life, people's lives improved, and it was really heartwarming. And I thought, this is great. This is great, and it's said I've taken off from there. I worked for the city of Lowell for 10 years. I went on to the city of Methuen and then Marlborough, the city of Gloucester for 10 years as the chief administrative officer. Then from there, I went to the town of Drake as the town manager for almost 6 years, and then went in to be the deputy undersecretary for the Baker-Polito administration in the Office of Community Affairs and Business Regulation. And we had a nice transition period into the Healy administration, and I wanted to go back to the local level. And I was, quite honestly, there were a number of different communities that expressed interest, but I did my homework, and I felt Littleton was my best fit and outstanding. So here I am.
We're very fortunate to have you. I think.
Thank you.
And I agree with you on the local side of things. And one of my touchstones is tangible good.
Yeah.
And that's sort of one of my goals in everything I do. I'm striving for tangible good, and I feel like at the local level, when you're working on the select board, when you're a town administrator, that's where you can really see that tangible good come into play and really see how it impacts the families and the people around you.
Exactly. And because I had spent practically my entire career in the local level, then went to the state, the differences were it was unbelievable. It was you go from the local level and say, we need a pothole fix, please fix the pothole, and the pothole is fixed. At the state level, I'm not simplifying it, but there's so many different layers in the bureaucracy, and when you've got the state delegations that are involved and the different secretariats that are involved, it's a delay upon delay. So you really don't see the impacts of your efforts for years, especially when they're policies.
I can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine. I remember when we were interviewing, that was one of the things that I thought was going to serve us very well, was your experience in the state and understanding how to navigate
Yeah.
all of that red tape.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you.
one thing that I have been getting a lot of questions about is,
Okay.
and I'm sure you as well, Town Common and what's going on at 550 King Street, also known as the IBM building.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could take a few minutes and update the residents on all the things that are happening over at 550 King, because there's a lot of good stuff happening, even as things might look a little still over there at the moment, but there's a lot of movement, actually.
There is a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on that has never gotten off our radar, and communication has been constant over the months in meetings leading up to the groundbreaking. We are going to, and the governor is excited about being here, and we will narrow down that date. And that groundbreaking is for the infrastructure, for the sewer that's going to go onto the site, and look at the expanded development that's going to go on there. Between a boutique hotel, you're going to have at this point about 850 units of housing. You're going to have mixed retail and residential on the top floor and retail on the bottom floor. You'll have different office spaces that are available. It's going to be it's very exciting, a very, very exciting opportunity. So that's going to happen in April, and that infrastructure should be done by the fall, and then they will start going vertical in the fall, and they'll start their first phase with some buildings. And start that process. And there's going to be multiple phases over a few years.
And I think the last we heard about Phase 1 is the latest iteration of Phase 1 was a hotel and apartments, is that correct?
Right. They're looking at this point, it's the 300, they would like to do 300 units in Phase 1 out of the 850 at this point. Also looking at excuse me, also looking at the mixed use, the retail and the housing on the top, looking at a boutique hotel, and then potentially maybe partnering with some senior affordable housing as part of the project.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In terms of what folks are going to see happening, Yangtze River building is scheduled for demo any minute now, right?
It really is. The demo permit has been issued. Now we're looking at a 3 to 6 inches Sunday into Monday. It was so you'll see that
Snow.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, and that what will happen that will be demolished within the next 2 weeks.
So that'll be a big change.
It really will be. I mean, and now if people can drive by, can see the boards that are up there. That's got a display of what the future of the site is going to look like, and it's welcoming the first tenant that's in there right now.
And that new tenant is Hyperion.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And they are a data center.
Correct. Yeah. Well, they do some data stuff, but they also do a small light manufacturing component and testing.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. No, I just took a tour of 550 King Street with Ryan Ferreira, the Assistant Town Administrator, and Eric Durba, the Facilities Manager, and checking the area out. Very, very impressed, and looks great.
Also happening around even sooner, I believe, is Northern Bank.
Northern Bank, they've already been issued their permit to start building. And it took a little while for them to knock down the building that was there. And the reason for that, because of the age of the building, they had to do some extensive testing for environmental hazards within the building. And then once it was determined and identified where that was and what it was, then they had to mitigate it, and that took a little while to get the contractor scheduled.
I see. Well, a lot of exciting things happening over at the Common.
Right.
Things that are going up. Unfortunately, we also had something shut down in our region, which was Neshoba Valley
Yes.
Regional Medical Center, and that's had a major impact on the town. And I know you and particularly our Chief of Police, Steele McCurdy, have been working, or excuse me, Chief of Fire,
Right.
have been working really hard on figuring out how to handle those changes
Right.
in how we deliver services.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right, happy to. And I happened to be in a meeting with approximately a couple weeks ago with the 13 fire chiefs, the mayor of Leominster, the representatives from the local and from the state and federal delegation. That really it was a very good meeting. It was a meeting that everyone was very, very supportive of each other, and it really helped the federal and state delegation understand the impacts where we're going here. The communities are feeling the need to express the fact that it's come to a critical point, and the critical point is not only is it to making sure that anybody who is when someone dials 911. They are in the most vulnerable position they'll be, in their life, and
Right.
no one and everyone is scared.
Yep.
Everyone they need help, and they want to get better and be looked after. So it's not only making sure that we continue to offer, all the communities continue to offer top-notch service and response time and professionalism and expertise. But it's also something an area that people don't see is how it affects the personnel. Because, as a matter of fact, you have, just recently we had an accident on 495. It closed down both sides of the highway just the other night.
Yep. Yep.
And they had to med flight people from there. And it's something as a result of the trauma of what a first responder is exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And just the emotion of just the environment and the individual and anything that they would be expressing. We have to be careful and take care of our first responders emotionally.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that we've seen the chief really focus on,
Right.
Both in police and fire,
Right.
for our first responders. And it's something that, of course, the select board fully supports.
Right.
It sort of leads to the issue of with the closing of Neshoba Valley,
Yep.
our transportation times have increased.
Right.
And we're up to, in some cases, up to nearly an hour
Yeah.
where our personnel are out on a
Right.
call until
Exactly.
they are seen in a different hospital.
Right.
Often Emerson, but not always, right?
Exactly. Predominantly, it is Emerson, but that issue, to your point, is it's the wait times have increased because there's more departments that are going to Emerson
Right.
instead of having it spread out a little bit, and as a result of that, it's really, to your point, again, you got 50 minutes, and then they're out of service for 50 minutes.
Right.
And that's something that in the past it was probably 20 to 22 minutes, and then they were back in service.
Right.
And it's something that is really taxing. And the chief Chief McCurdy has done a great job advocating on behalf of the 13 communities, but especially Littleton, to advocate to the governor and to do part of a supplemental appropriation that to be submitted now in their budget process, and asking that to provide every community with $350,000 over each year for the next 2 years, plus a one-time payment of $500,000 to do a strong, deep evaluation of our EMS service, because it's on the verge of collapse, according to so many, just the professionals that are in the weeds every single day, and some of the things that they deal with. And but the emotional state of our first responders, they go from one very emotional situation into another one without a break. They just, and so we need to be able to have that flexibility to give them some relief and call people back to support each other. And this is, we didn't budget for this. No community budgeted for it. So
Right.
look,
Nobody was expecting the
exactly.
medical center to collapse.
Right. Right.
I think, it's interesting in terms of the amount of time and the hit on morale in terms of having to come back and come back and come back.
Right.
But also, something that I think some residents might not consider is how much overtime that creates, and
Right.
how much that need is, how hard that hits the budget in terms of needing extra funds
Right.
that, as you pointed out, we couldn't have anticipated for.
Right.
And so the plan is to go to the state, is it next week?
We're gonna go and meet with the chairman of Ways and Means, along with Senator Eldridge is going to. He has arranged the meeting,
He's
and
been a
we'll
great
go.
advocate.
He really has.
Yep.
Representative Arciero is right there also.
Yep.
They've been super. Both of them have been very, and it's great to see how they work in tandem with each other. They're very supportive of each other.
Yes.
It's really great.
Yeah,
That
we're
is-
very fortunate, because
We really are.
it doesn't always work that way.
Exactly, 100%. You are exactly right. And so we are optimistic that this will be, there'll be some other chiefs, a couple other chiefs that are going to be there. I will be there, and we'll come back and report back to the select board.
Excellent. We can talk about that on a future pod.
That'd be great.
550 King is probably the thing that I get asked about the most.
Okay.
Second to that is the orchard.
Yeah, sure.
And we've got some progress to report on that front, right? We're in lease negotiations with a tree company that's been in operation here in the area for quite a while. And they are interested in a 10-year lease to start, right? And then
Yeah,
with
ultimately-
extensions.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And we're hoping that goes through, but it's been a long road to get to this point.
It has. But I can attest in observing, it has been a long road. The select board has worked very, very hard in understanding it's a highly emotionally charged issue.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into, in embracing that land for the community. And it's something that, and you've never lost sight of that. The select board has never lost sight of that whatsoever. And we would just like to be able to, do something, and we can build from there.
And for the residents listening, we do have a plan. If the lease is finalized, the idea is that there will be a meeting for residents to chat with the new lessee and talk about their plans for the land and get to know their new neighbor a little better.
Right, and I know that, and something that the people out there in podcast world don't know is, like, as you and Matthew Nordhaus and Mark Rombacher had expressed that you wanted, and that's being developed right now, is probably you want a 15 to a 20-year capital plan for the two barns and the cottage.
Right.
Exactly, of what, from this point forward, give us every 5 years what kind of a financial investment is going to be required in that to make sure that they, are stable.
Right.
And if that's potentially becomes part of the operation there for the orchard. So you will have that information very quickly.
That'll be very helpful. It's if the town is going to be a landlord, then we're going to be in charge of a lot of the capital improvements. And so we need to understand what
Right.
that entails.
Exactly.
So-
And we're in a great position for that because we do have Eric, the facilities manager, and he is fantastic.
He joined us about 6 months ago, is that
about,
right?
exactly. We stole him from the private sector, and we're very, very lucky.
Yeah, we are.
But he is a very conscientious. He's frugal, which is great.
Yep.
But he's also realistic, and he you know, if there's my experience with Eric is he brings us the solution, not the problem. Here's the issue, but here's the potential solutions, you know, A, B, C, or D.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we have you know, the conversation and move on from there.
That's great. So good things brewing.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have some concrete wins to announce soon on that front.
Absolutely, I think so. Absolutely.
All right. So I've gone through my little list of things that I wanted to chat with to start. How about you? Anything left on your list?
Well, I think we should probably, you know, maybe bring the fire chief in because he could give a better detail and
Yes.
speak from, you know, firsthand. Some different town staff and such as a previous town staff, Steve Venuti. We should bring him in to talk about the upcoming budget.
He's our finance chair.
Yeah, and he was a longtime employee here, and that's outstanding. We can bring Liz in to talk about the opening of the senior center over, you know, just around the corner.
Center on Shattuck Street
That's it.
will be opening in the spring. So
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
will be a
that's exciting.
ribbon cutting on that very soon, right?
Right. That would be one thing that, as a matter of fact, Ryan and I were talking about this morning is it is really an impressive building. It really, really is, and it's going to draw so many people.
Yes.
Are gonna, I mean,
It's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And outside of Littleton also.
Yeah,
Right.
and you know, in terms of what's going to be inside, I think a lot. You know, when I first heard senior center, I thought, oh, it's going to be meeting rooms.
Right.
But it's a lot more than that. It's
Right.
recreation rooms with pool tables for
Yep.
gathering. It's a fireplace for sitting and reading a book next
Right.
to.
Arts and crafts
Exercise,
area,
arts and crafts.
exercise, absolutely.
Yep. There's-
No,
It's going to be a
fantastic.
great facility for the
Yep.
town, and
No.
as you point out, it's going to be a draw as well.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So we'd also, you know, coming up in the near future, with town meeting, we'll want to potentially look at some of the articles that are coming down, maybe some bylaw changes, and look at our planner, our town planner, to come in and give an overview. We're also, but that's what we're you know, looking at off the top, and maybe LELWD with Nick Lawler and talk about the infrastructure and all the work that they've done and what the buildings they're building,
that's right.
and give us that update, and that would be great.
So, yeah, so those are all things to look forward to on future episodes. In the meantime, I think I wanted to touch base on our Charter Commission.
Right.
And that is a initiative by the Select Board to look into the future of Littleton as we are growing. We see our needs growing, and we want to take a deep dive into how our town government is structured, how we're making decisions, who's making decisions, and how the people who are making the decisions come to be the decision makers. So in other words, election versus appointment, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so the way to do that, as we've done our research and found out, is through a charter commission. The charter commission is open for applications now, and I would encourage everybody to go to the town website where they'll find a brief but helpful explanation on what the charter commission is goals are and how they can play a role. And I would encourage everybody who's listening to think really hard about whether this is something that they can do. It is a finite amount of time, which is nice for a lot of people who don't want to have an unending commitment. This is approximately a year and a half
Yep.
is the estimate. We will have professional consultants alongside the Charter Commission to help guide the process. So it's not just that if you are chosen to be on the Charter Commission and, we say, okay, go charter, right? And so you don't need to know how to do this before you do it. There will be somebody there to talk everyone through the process, what decisions need to be made and in what order, and to help you through that step by step. You don't need necessarily to have a background in town government. One of the examples from the consultants that we talked with was they were talking about how they had been on a charter commission for their own town in the past. And for example, somebody who had a strong HR background was really valuable on the commission because they understood how to make an org chart and how, and what type of staffing you need to have between organizations and reporting duties and that kind of thing. So I would hope that everybody who's listening will think about throwing their hat in the ring. This is a really important initiative for the future of Littleton. And we're really excited about it because we think that there's a lot of, back to that tangible good, there's a lot of tangible good to be had out of this Charter Commission. And the idea is that once this commission wraps up with their decision-making, they'll make recommendations to the Select Board on how they think, what they think makes sense for Littleton in the future. And we can start the process of putting that into effect.
Right. And in our on the town website is with important documents. There was a study by the Department of Revenue that came in and interviewed department heads, select board members, from volunteers, things of that nature, and they clearly came out with a recommendation to for us to move towards that. To make that transition into that form of government from their standpoint.
Yeah, that report is really informative, and it's actually not a difficult read.
It isn't. No,
it's a nice. It's written in an executive summary type of style, and what I found so helpful in that report is that it helps you understand the norms.
Right.
Very few of us understand what every other town in the state is doing. And how they organize themselves and how they're making decisions, but these folks do, right?
That's
and so they were able to say, well, Littleton, you're right in the middle of the pack in terms of how you're handling this, but on this and that, you're a little out in left field. You might want to reconsider how you've got that structured. So I really do hope that folks will take a look at the website, look up the Charter Committee, and take a look at the Charter Committee, take a look at that. Department of Revenue report, and like I said, throw your hat in the ring and help us help the town.
Perfect.
So we've got a couple quick hits on things that we wanted to touch base on as well. We wanted to say a fond farewell to John Kazanjian, our recreation supervisor over at Parks and Rec. John has been with us for ever.
It's going to be a huge void.
And he is seen everywhere about town, whether it's with flag football, or my husband does the cornhole, and John's always at the cornhole games, or helping out with some of the kids' activities as well. Everybody knows Kaz, and we are very sorry to see him go, but we wish him all the best.
It's a great opportunity for him.
Yes.
And I believe there's some connection with Watertown. I don't know if he's from there originally. I think he is. Mm-hmm. But it's an opportunity that he's progressing in his career, and it benefit his family, and you can only support him for that.
That's right. We wish him all the best.
Absolutely.
We wanted to touch base with our residents about the town newsletter. We talked about that at the top of the pod, but we do have a town newsletter, and it is available just on the first of the month, right?
Correct.
And it's online. It's best viewed online.
Yes.
Versus trying to print it out. It's definitely an online format. And in there you'll find updates from all the different departments, from the select board, from the town administrator.
Yep.
And our hope is that between the newsletter and this podcast, folks will have a better understanding of what's happening around town and why.
Yep, yeah. And please, I am accessible, and I'm happy to people. Just, you don't need an appointment, walk in, and hopefully I would be available. But then, please, anybody just walk in or call if you have any questions or concerns. I'm here to listen.
Yep.
And I will bring those concerns back to the select board, and if there's something that we can address, I'm sure that we'll put a plan into action. But don't be shy. We're open door policy. We're happy to help in any way we can.
Yep. You've been the constituent services, I think,
There
is
you
what they
go.
call them on the federal
Okay.
level, right?
All right, there you go.
So yeah, I think folks at first think that, yeah, they do need an appointment. So I think that's really helpful to point out that anybody can call, and you and Lisa and Ryan
Right.
will see to it that it's addressed.
Right.
The last thing that I wanted to mention is that it is time already to look towards the May elections, and so nomination papers are open. If you're interested in running for office, you can take a look online at the town clerk's website to see what positions are open, and nomination papers are due March 24th. So you would stop by the town clerk's office and pick up the papers, get your signatures, and turn them back in by March 24th.
Great. Perfect.
Anything else to add?
I think we're good for now.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We're really excited about this. We're looking forward to many more, podcasts in the future, and whether there'll be, overviews like today, or whether there'll be deep dives like tomorrow, or like Neshoba Valley. We'll take a look at all sorts of different issues. We would welcome your suggestions. Please feel free to reach out to selectboard@littletonma.org, or just call the town administrator's office and reach out to Jim and Lisa and Ryan there.
Absolutely. If I can just do one other thing, Karen.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's out there that would like to get in touch with me, and let me just give you my cell phone. It's 978-621-9655. And if there's anything I can that you need to express something to me confidentially, by all means, happy to do that also. But it's also a good way to get me directly also. So
Appreciate that.
absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we're looking forward to more episodes in the future. Stay tuned.
Sounds great. Thank you, Littleton.
Thank you.